Right, good evening. Good evening. We are live. It's a bit of a late one, but it was a good time for us all to get together to do this. I've got to shout out Boxing Beats and Rhymes for joining us. First time on the panel, and I've got no doubt that it will not be the last. So, welcome to Boxing Beats and Rhymes.
Good
Shout
evening.
out to Dani, Fight Fan TV, and BaseDaKID. Sorry, Beats, I talked over you then.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. I just said good evening. So, I mean,
Oh. Nice to have you here. Shout out to Bigsy Biggs there in the chat. Philip Answer, um, Double AV develops what's up good, y'all, and obviously boxing pound for pound, Jack. It's a bit of a late one, so if I get my words into a tiswas, I'm usually fast asleep by now. But we're gonna go straight into yesterday. Shout out to Matchroom and Queensbury for sending us those media invites so we were able to watch the presser not only live but there in situ. I'm going to go to Beats first. You watched it obviously indoors. How did you find it?
um, I did think the fighters didn't get enough talk time. You know what I mean? It seemed like, Frank and Eddie, you know what I mean, like were grandizing, you know what I mean, like a little too much, maybe. A little too much, you know what I mean? Like, we know you're putting on big cards, we know it's historical, but it should always be fight first, as far as I'm concerned, you know what I mean?
No, I can see that. That makes sense to me. Base, what do you think of that? I never even thought
Um,
about it, to be fair.
I mean, to be fair, maybe they should have just done what Deontay Wilder did and go into their own little monologue, and I'm sure they would have had all the time they wanted. I think, to be honest, the people that wanted to speak did. Daniel Dubois and Philip Hrgovic had, they had enough of a verbal back and forth. Deontay said what he said, Zhang said what he said, through obviously his translator, and his translator Ken. And yeah, look, Willie Hutchinson had a bit to say. Craig had a little bit to say. They probably could have done more, but I think they took. I think they took a bit of a cue from the first one, whereby Beterbiev is notoriously short on the words. He's action. He's like, I ain't really got time to talk. You guys know what I'm about. So I feel like they felt that, okay, well, if we take the burden off of these guys in case some of them don't want necessarily chat, we'll do that, because that was a bit painful to try and get a vibe out of, especially when you had the two guys that didn't necessarily speak English as their first languages. But there was enough there where you can say, all right, we know this is serious, and this is what the game's been waiting for. So I enjoyed it, obviously in person, obviously being around you, Dani, and everyone else that I chat to from that circle, the very limited people that I chat to from that circle. But yeah, it was good.
Dani, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a very grandioso affair. The posters was tremendous. Like when that first one come up of Beterbiev and Bivol, I was just like, wow, like this could be on that. This should be on that. In Waterloo, that cinema. What's that one called? Is it IMAX?
Yeah, the IMAX, the Odeon IMAX.
Yeah, it was like that should be around that. Like that looked very serious. And then when the promo vid came out for the 5v5, that was just like, yeah, this is a serious production going on right now. Yeah, because there was so many people up there in person. No, go on, Base.
Sorry, not to cut your flow. Where was the promo for Beterbiev and Bivol?
That one's probably going to come out after, but they probably don't want to roll out both at the same time, innit?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Cool, go for it. So.
Yeah, because I think that the 5v5 one was like unveiling. So yeah, now we've unveiled them. Let's get the promo out, and they'll probably drop the undisputed one closer to the time to, rev up the engine more, because remember they've got the Usyk Fury one already coming up, which it seems like most and a lot of the media outlets I spoke to, they said I've got to decide because it's 2 weeks between them. I don't know which one I've got to go, and I think I'll go to the Fury Usyk one. So, but I think that, you know what, if you're really about this boxing life and you really love it, you'll just stay out there for the couple of weeks. Go in one of them backpackers hostels and get busy, man. Like just survive. You know what I mean? Or some naan bread or something.
But
No,
you're forgetting that there's shows like in between that time domestically, or you're just saying keep one of their guys out there and then
Yeah,
the rest.
keep one of the guys out there. But it was a lot of the independent guys who, to be fair, who were saying they've got to pick between.
Right, okay.
Obviously, the big platforms, they're gonna hit both of them in it. You know what I mean? They ain't got them troubles. But those who've got to finance it themselves, they got to decide which one they're gonna go to. But yeah,
that's a hard choice.
Yeah, but it's one's more commercially viable, like the Usyk Fury one, and then the Beterbiev Bivol and the 5v5, I think, is more of a boxing purist card, because you speak to an average civilian, like they don't even know who Beterbiev.
Some of them guys are.
Yeah, a lot of them don't. And what if the proper football guys, who don't really watch boxing, they're not going to be tuning into that, or they will tune in because they'll hear about, the timeline will get busy in it, but in general they'll know about Fury Usyk. But yeah, I thought it was a great event. Yeah, there's a few other things, but I'm sure I don't want to talk about everything in one go. But yeah, some horrendous bits, but yeah, there was some. Overall, it was a great thing.
Well, this is the stage to do it, because I know Beats. I've seen Beats tweeting, so I know Beats has got a couple things he wants to say. So I'm gonna hand over back to Beats before I put my 50 pence worth in.
Who you get? Like certain Dev Sardi?
Bro, say what you want.
Like he jumps like Eddie didn't say nothing about Ball being revealed. He just said he admired Ball. Dev seemed nervous. I mean, he seemed too nervous. You know what I'm saying? Like he needs to compose himself. And
See, I didn't think Dev was nervous. I thought Josh Denzel was nervous because he was mixing up who was fighting who. But sorry, as you were.
Who's Denzel? Who's Denzel? Which one's Denzel?
The mixed race brother that was doing the commentary for the when they did the reveal.
Yeah. He did look a bit shook, actually. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie. He did. But they're very inexperienced, isn't it? So it's always, well, not so much Dev, but the other guy might be inexperienced in such esteemed company, and it's always a gamble if you're going to use someone young to do that rather than someone who's been there, done it.
That's interesting. I didn't even look at it like that. Like age-wise.
Yeah. Experience in keeping the show flowing and keeping the momentum and not looking amateurish. That's partly an experience thing, I believe. There's some youngsters who are naturally got it, of course, but I think it's partly an experience thing.
Listen, there's loads to go over it, but Jack has mentioned something in the chat. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I saw Beterbiev moving a little bit more sharp and intentional towards Dimitri. Usually Arta's quite laid back, and like you said, he's the one word answer guy. But he was looking over to Bivol, and he was kind of like saying, "You know what it is. I know what you did last time." And he was like, open up your mouth, then go on, say it. And I thought, what's going on with these two? So I said to Dani, have they sparred or something? Have they got some sparring history or something like that? But Dani was trying to say maybe it's because obviously they're both countrymen, they're from the same area, etc., etc. But I don't know, there's something there, man. It's almost like one of them's docked or something's happened. It just seemed a little bit personal with me. Did anybody else pick that up, or was that?
Yeah, but you got to remember when they first did when they first met at Riyadh season.
Yeah, that was awkward.
That Shaquille, what are you doing?
Hey, raw.
When they met in Riyadh season in their suits. And he goes, "Oh, why they had to fight?" And he goes, "Well, you ask him." And Bivol looked a bit like, he took a bit
sheepish.
No, he looked taken aback by right. I didn't see that one coming so fast, but but Beterbiev had it in for him. But I think it's a thing of one, that they're, you know, fellow countrymen, and two, I've always had this thing where people, no one's actually noted it down, but I've noted for a while that Bivol, for all, yeah, he's done great things as a pro and as an amateur, but I noticed there's some discrepancies in his amateur career where he's never entered the World Amateur Championships, he never entered the Olympic Games, like, whereas Beterbiev entered both of them. He was due to fight Alexander Vosnik in the amateurs, and it got put as a TKO via a walkover. That means he pulled out of the tournament in a finals. So it's like, why did you never enter the two top tournaments and decide to go pro? So I don't know if Beterbiev has a thing where he finds him a bit of a skipper. He feels that, I know he feels that Bivol's been ducking him. Obviously, Bivol, when he got asked, he said, you know, it was something to do with promotional things. I know more recently it was because, you know, Mauricio was blocking him via the Russian thing, innit? But a few years prior, I don't know what the hold up. Maybe it was promotional. Maybe because, I don't know, they remember before, they definitely wouldn't have got the money they're getting now. So I don't know, but yeah, I think Beterbiev feels that Bivol was, you know,
in the pro game. Like, I can't say if I know Beterbiev, he seems to believe that Bivol always calls for the fight, but he never wanted it. I definitely disagree with that, because there's on several occasions Bob Arum came out of his own mouth and said, "We're like, why would we do that fight? No one knows Dmitry Bivol. He doesn't sell." He said it on numerous occasions. Eddie offered to send Bivol over to ESPN and Top Rank on several occasions, and Bob said, "No, fight won't sell. He doesn't sell." And then after the Canelo fight, you know, they said it basically said it's the same thing, but now he's saying, well, the money's just not there for that fight. So Bob Arum on several occasions vetoed it when Bivol was calling for a fight. It wasn't even with him initially. He was trying to get Joe Smith Jr. when he went and got the belt. And also, who was it that he won the belt off of? It wasn't Adonis. Who was the other guy that he won the belt off of, Dani? I know you remember this.
Well, all right. So there's Joe Smith
Jr.
Alexander Vosnik.
No, not. I'm not talking about Beterbiev. I'm talking about when Joe Smith Jr. won the W. Oh, it was Vlasov when he beat Vlasov. Yeah. Bivol was trying to. Obviously, he was trying to go and fight for that belt as well. Didn't get it because it was on Top Rank, and then obviously the other belts was all on Top Rank. So yeah, he said it himself. You know, well, all the belts was over there. That's what Vladimir Kornilov said. We couldn't get a look in, but now we can.
Beats, what do you think?
From just mind games, bravado. I don't think neither of them are afraid of each other. I think both of them are professional. They're both very competent at what they do, and I think, like you've all said, they're not big talkers, and you know, they're getting their opportunity. They're getting paid well. They're gonna fight, man. They're gonna fight. Yeah. Like, if anyone is expecting like fireworks in terms of verbal exchanges, it's not going to happen with them two.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was just me then, but I've watched all of Arthur's, you know, pressers. Watched how he is, and he just, I don't know. He just seemed. I think Eddie used the word arrogant. I wouldn't say arrogant. I said that he was just probably a little bit more sharp and purposeful when he was speaking to Bivol, which is, you know, he's known to pull funny faces. I remember when I think somebody said to him, Anthony Yarde said that you're slow, like you move slow, and he was like, so he'll pull a face, but he was just, I don't know, he just seemed a bit more directed at Bivol. I don't know.
You know,
I still think he wins, but
he might be arrogant, but you know what? He's got every right to be. If he is arrogant, so what? That's what he needs. He needs arrogance. He's earned the right to be arrogant. 20 wins, 20 KOs, unified champion, Ring Magazine, lineal, won everything in the amateurs except an Olympic gold medal. I'd be arrogant too. You get me? So yeah, no shame in that whatsoever.
Yeah, and when you're in his presence, you see the presence. When I stood next, I was like, "Rah, yeah, this brother's alpha still. This brother is alpha."
Remember that conversation? Sorry, Beat. Sorry, go on.
No, he's not arrogant. He's very arrogant. You know, and like some of the best fighters that we've had in boxing, that's how they are, and he is in that mold. You know, and to change him would be to destroy him, basically, wouldn't it? If he was to change that.
Well, when I stood, I was just happy to see him. You know me, I was grinning like a Cheshire cat. But when you talk about that alpha energy, I think what I see on his social media is exactly how he is in person. He's somebody that, you know, he does that hard work. You know, you can see he's got a little bit of a like a character underneath it. He'll boss 1 and 2 jokes, but he's on job. He's just someone that is on it, and that's what I was saying. Like, everyone keeps on going on about his power, but nobody's like analyzing how he moves around the ring. To be able to cut everyone off in the ring takes that generalship and IQ. And look how he picks his shots. He carefully picks his shots. It's like, are we just saying this geezer? Fair enough, he's knocking everyone out, but give him a little bit of credit for his boxing ability as well. Because if he breaks, Bivol's got a rhythm. He's got a rhythm. He's 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and he bounces, and you can count it. You can see it. With somebody like Beterbiev, I reckon he'll be able to disrupt that rhythm. Don't get me wrong, he's gonna get hit in the fight, but that's not something that phases him. So I'm looking forward to it, but I do think that Beterbiev gets the win. Let us know in the comments what you think. If you've just joined us, I'm Abs of October Red. I'm joined by Dani Glover from Fight Fan TV, BaseDaKID, the hardcore casual. I think you need to change that because you ain't no casual. And the illustrious, the guy that I listen to. Beats is the channel, and I mean this to disrespect, no disrespect to anyone. When I go running in the morning, Boxing Beats and Rhymes is a channel that I listen to. It's always me and him that run down the canal together. So welcome to all of you. The reveal, did anyone see Wilder nearly broke his neck when he was trying to walk to the stage? You know, when you play back the live, you know you can hear you can hear them laughing on the live broadcast.
Yeah. Well, Deontay Wilder, that's... I'll tell you what,
the shadows. Yeah, sorry, go on.
You see, that Saudi money is going to bring an end to that guy's career, because like he wasn't planning to fight 2023, and if he was on the PBC getting the PBC purses, he wouldn't go near a ring with Zhang. He wouldn't go near the ring, you know, as far as I'm concerned. And Malik Scott is not a proper trainer. He's very, very inactive. There's a lot of psychological scars from the beatings he took from Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
See, like he can beat Zhang. I don't see any way he doesn't hit the canvas though, because Zhang punching compared to Wilder to Fury is 2 different days. It's two different levels. You know what I mean? Fury's not a big puncher like that. He's not really a big puncher. You know what I mean? But like Zhang with them setups there from that southpaw stance and that backhand, if he catches Wilder early, he's finishing Wilder off. If Fury is decking Wilder, Zhang can knock him out within 4 or 5. And then after that, we know Zhang's gas tank is suspect, and could be Wilder's cue. You know.
Do you think he'll last into the second half though?
Who's that, Wilder? No. If he's caught early, he's going to get taken out.
Sean George has said to me, we're going for the knockout. I don't care whatever happens in the fight, we're going for the knockout, because we know that we can't stay in there and play with Wilder. We're going for the knockout. And that's all he'd tell me.
Yeah, because if it's like someone said, if Wilder manages to weather the storm, we know Zhang after 4 rounds, when his feet are just planted and he ain't doing nothing, Wilder will wing in them 1-2s, and that will drop Zhang. And if I think Zhang's a man at that size. If he goes over, I don't think he's going to manage to get up within the 10-second count. So he can't afford to go on the floor.
One thing I'll say though, I mean, if we look we have to really look at Zhang's fights. Yeah, he doesn't really get hit with shots. It looks like he gets hit, but if you actually was to slow down half of these, he parries a lot of those before they land. He's very, very cute with his defense, and he's a very good counter puncher. And one thing Deontay isn't is a counter puncher. And if he gets pushed on the back foot anywhere, even those little small, plodding steps that Zhang likes to take, he's not going to have the same delivery system. And even if he goes to shoot through the middle, I still think Zhang will be able to parry it. So he's got a lot of work to do to win that fight, because he can't even sort of try to bust Zhang up early and then sort of, try to take him out late. He's got to hope that he's got that power that everyone claims he has, because if he can't get it done with a quote unquote one hitter quitter, there's not really much else he can do to win that fight. Because Zhang will stay composed in the pocket. He lives in the pocket. He's quite happy there. Wilder's not happy in the pocket. He likes to be mid-range to outside.
Yeah.
So very interesting. And the fact that Eddie made him the captain. I mean, you might have used that for some psychological G'ing him up, but that could have cost you. I would have given my captaincy to the sure bet personally, and I don't think that's a sure bet in any way, shape, or form.
Craig's a sure bet, isn't it? Craig,
yeah.
Well,
he's the longest serving matchroom guy, so I would have given it to him just for loyalty. Like, you've been my captain, you've been there more than anyone else.
Yeah.
Craig get in the back, you don't care. Craig don't care.
What did you say, Beats?
He just pay me my dough. Craig get his back, bro. You don't care. Craig don't care.
I know, but we're talking about ceremony. That's all. I feel like I'm the longest reigning guy. Like, I feel like that's who should have got the captaincy. Especially, as I said, I feel like and this is no disrespect to Willie Hutchinson, but I feel like that's a sure bet. That's the surest bet fight on the card for me. I can't see anything that I've seen from Hutchinson in the past or since he got, came up and moved to 175 that tells me that he's gonna have anything for Craig, even after, being out of the ring for over 16 months and having one comeback fight. I just can't see it. So
we all know Yarde should be where Willie is really. Willie really looks a bit out of place there. Let's keep it real. You know what I mean?
Well, people say that, but the fact is that, and by the way, Base, what's his name? Willie Hutchinson, he only had one fight at 168. All his other fights previously was all 175. So I don't know why he made that experiment to try and fight for a British and Commonwealth down at 168, but that dearly cost him. But Willie Hutchinson is a former world amateur champion. He has a win over Maestro's boy, David Morrell, in the amateurs. He's got a victory over a next guy called Beck. I forgot the guy's name off the top of my head, but he's currently unbeaten super middleweight at the moment. So yeah, Willie Hutchinson, he's got good movement, good reflexes. He looks like he can dig a bit, but he hasn't been at this level, and you could see that he's very excited.
Wait, is he? So was he a world amateur youth champion? Because it wasn't as a. I was about to say, because he only won nationals as an adult.
Yeah. World.
Okay, all right.
And he's boxed around the world, and that he was on GB squad with like Boatsy and stuff. But yeah, he hasn't been at this level. He looked very overexcited. He was trying to get, trying to be funny, Jack the lad. He was fluffing his lines, but yeah, Craig, and remember, Craig's the only British pick for Eddie as well, also in that lineup. So
good point.
Yes. So it would have been. I think Craig was initially meant to be the captain, but I think Eddie made an executive decision to try and give Wilder some motivation, also to ingratiate him. Whereas if he does win, it will give him an incentive to maybe carrot to play and get with the AJ thing and we're buddies now, and
Maybe. I mean, I can see all of that. It just feels like I would have still done it ceremoniously. But one thing I still believe, and I wanted to try and speak to Eddie or Frank Smith. Frank Warren probably wouldn't tell me, but I'm almost certain a deal was made or an agreement was put in place, maybe by His Excellency, saying there's only a certain amount of weight classes you guys are allowed to pick from. And those are the weight classes where Queensbury can at least be competitive in. because to me,
Okay.
Matchroom choosing featherweight and light heavy, even though light heavy you could say maybe was a lock, but even featherweight, well, the majority of your featherweights all said that they want to move up. Like Josh Warrington wanted to move up, Lee Wood wants to move up. Like, you know, Ray already said his last fight, but in the back he said that Eddie's like, oh, we'll do the 5v5 because if you get me a quick turnaround, I'll stick around for one more fight. But I would have picked 140 as my weight class. I would have picked 108, 112, 115, 118, like 168. There's so many other weight classes where he's more stacked in, where Frank isn't. You would say to yourself, well, why would you pick the ones where it can be competitive? So I still feel like there was some kind of rule or agreement was put into place to say, yeah, you can only pick these 6 weight classes or something like that. No, nothing to back it up on, but it just seems odd that you would pick stuff that, you know, that your opponent has got some strengths in or some deep divisions, especially when it came to the 2 heavyweights.
Does Frank even have a 108 fighter?
Yeah, he's got a couple, but they're not like major. But again, that would be my point, isn't it? Like I would pick weight classes where I know that I've got the prevailing, because Eddie's got all nothing but world champions from realistically 108 to 115. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, 122, 130 was another weight class I would have looked at. But definitely I would have picked 140. I mean, he's stacked in the 140 and the 135 divisions. So to not pick those is very odd. When that's an easy win. Andy Cruz against what's in there, Mark Chamberlain. That's a mismatch and a half. Like that's an easy win for you. You take the easy victories.
But then isn't it supposed to be competitive?
No, it doesn't have to
like,
be.
Turki he's the one that's sitting back and he's the one that's pulling the strings. These guys aren't. They're not pulling the strings, are they? Turki Al-Sheikh can say that I've added in a heavyweight as a wild card, but he's the one that's pulling the strings.
But that's what I'm saying. I think that he's probably told them you can only pick from these certain weight classes. But the thing is, Mark Chamberlain, when I say it's a mismatch, yeah, based on achievements, but Chamberlain's his favorite fighter. So unless he just doesn't want to see his favorite fighter get beat up, I would have done 135 if I was Eddie, or 140. Like I said, those are, you know, and then you could get what's it called? You could have a Pierce O'Leary against a Dalton Smith, seeing as he's not going to go for that European. That's what I would have done.
Pierce O'Leary, Dalton Smith.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's say it go.
Well, the Yarde disappearance, because to be fair, there was still a little bit of glimmer of hope in me, hoping that the mask that was going to get pulled off. I know, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? But you know, I just thought it might have been Yarde, and I guess we can park that because that's literally going down a whole different conversation. So we'll park Anthony Yarde. One of the things that I did find a little bit strange, and I only clocked it not when I was there yesterday, but when I come home and I saw the media pictures. Did you see Ammo wearing a tail?
Yeah, that's Americans. They got some weird swag. Look how Devin Haney dresses. He wears some mad flares with mad space boots. So
space boots, yeah, space boots.
Yeah, so that's just his dress code. You know, what's his name? I think Ray Ford. I think he was inspired by Deontay Wilder because he actually came dressed like how Deontay Wilder normally dressed. Yeah. So yeah.
I don't know. So what we saying then? What we saying, Beats? Who's going to win out of Wilder and Zhang? You're saying Zhang, aren't you?
Yeah,
early round Zhang.
I'm definitely going for Zhang. I just think, Joseph Parker said that Zhang hits harder than Wilder. He said what Zhang's power was on a different, planet. And see, like, I don't want to dismiss Wilder, but he weighs 213. And
yeah, he's really light, isn't he?
His best wins are against an old Cuban guy. You know what I mean? Yeah,
listen, he's fighting Jared Anderson next week. You better leave Louis Ortiz's name out your mouth.
When you look at his spectacular wins, yeah, like, all right, the Ortiz wins were good, but the rematch with Stavern should never have happened.
Oh, yeah,
Dominic Brazil, okay, it took AJ maybe 7 or 8, but he was just tailor-made for Wilder because of his lack of speed. And he does hit hard. Of course he hits hard. but his power's been blown out of context by his fan base, who are very biased on a number of issues. They're just very biased, and the fact that he didn't even rock Joseph Parker, who arguably was his best opponent outside Tyson Fury, he didn't even rock him. You watch him against, is it Joanne Duharpus? Doesn't really put a dent in the guy. His eyes all swollen up from a jab. So I just see it downhill for the guy. I see it downhill, see it downhill. But you never know. You never know.
What do you think, Dani? Dani, why are you smiling like that, man? We can't be laughing at a geezer's demise.
No, because what it is, you have to take into account that Wilder didn't clap Joseph Parker. He didn't land properly ever on him. So you're saying, yeah, Zhang hits harder, but Zhang was actually catching Parker. Wilder didn't. I don't remember him actually catching Parker clean at any point.
Mm-hmm.
No, even when that one in that round, he rode it. He rode that shot, that one which looked good, but it didn't proper clap him at any point. Really, Parker was very on his P's and Q's. Reactive wise and reflex wise, Wilder didn't clap him properly. Otherwise, he would have at least dropped him, because there's no way Chisora then drops Parker, but then Wilder can't drop. Come on, Wilder didn't clap him properly. So,
but Chisora hit him at the back of the head, whereas like Wilder, everything was from the front, so it's a bit different. Same with Dillian. When Dillian hurt him, it was a headbutt to the back of the head in the first, which scrambled the senses.
What about the second one though, the left hook?
Yeah, that was, but that's after he's already been like, but that's a short left hook. That's not a Wilder straight shot, and he got straight back up. He didn't even take a moment to get. He fell and walked straight back up. Okay, cool, let's go. So
yeah,
even the Joe Joyce one, when he got beat up for 11 rounds, knocked down, he still beat the 10 count. He just wasn't in any fit shape to carry on. So
yeah, that was fatigue, that one. But
yeah,
Wilder, Zhang, he definitely hits hard, but Wilder, his one is more the speed of the shot, because it's just like with the Hellenius one when he knocked him out of the round and it took AJ 7 rounds. So it's this, even yes, he can weigh 213, but the speed of the shot is what makes the punch so hard, I believe it. Whereas Zhang, I think he's heavy-handed. Plus, for a big guy, he's got fast twitch muscles in his shoulders. For someone who's that big. Because the way he recoils his left hand, especially when he was fighting Joe Joyce anyway, his hands move very fast for someone that size.
We'll see what happens. What are you thinking about young Ray Ford versus Ball?
Who's that to?
Anyone.
I'll go for Ray Ford. If Nick Ball gives away early rounds against Ford, like he did against Ray Vargas, he probably won't get back in it. And I would say at featherweight, Ford is a better fighter than Vargas. But Ball is explosive. He's very explosive. But it all depends if he can avoid it. Because listen, Ford is going to try and push him back. He's not just going to box him and pop him like Shakur and them guys. He's going to try and push him back, and then we'll see how Ball holds up. It's a very good matchup, though. It's a very good matchup.
What do you think in Base?
No, it's a great match. Remember, I think I was the first person that suggested it back in January, which I'm still waiting for my matchmaker's fee on.
That's what it's on about, isn't it?
That's one of them, yeah. But no, look. All jokes aside, I think it could be the best fight on the card, because the one thing you know about Nick Ball, if nothing else, he's got no other way than to barrel forward and throw punches. And Ray Ford is obviously at his best when he gets to control the distance and control the tempo, but he's also quite happy to sit in the pocket and fight fire with fire when he needs to. Yeah. And I feel like his IQ is of the level where he can get his breaks if he needs to. He can find ways to get his breaks in the rounds, and he can go forward physically. He is the obviously Ball's a very sort of stocky and short, squat guy, but you know, Ford realistically is the bigger of the two, like in terms of height, reach, and size. Like he's busting at the seams, whereas Nick Ball isn't. That could be a very interesting thing about obviously making the weight one more time. But that being said, he was out of the ring for a long period before the fight with Komatov, so that could have played a part in trying to get the weight off. Now he's closer to fight weight, and Eddie said he's going to hire him the best nutritionist as well to make the weight better than he's ever done it before. So if all of that checks out, then yeah, he might still have enough juice in the tank for one more. But I think that's the only variable is, he said, I'm moving up. Is this one fight too many at featherweight? But I think to me that's going to be the best fight on the card, personally.
Yeah, I think I said. Did I say that? I know that's definitely the fight that I'm looking forward to. Favorite, I don't know yet. Dani, what are you saying?
Best fight on the card, I think, is probably between that and Shiraz Ammo, because that's another interesting fight.
See, I think Shiraz is going to do that.
That's what. Yeah, he is looking.
I'm
very
edging slightly towards Shiraz.
Yeah, but with the Ball fight, Nick Ball is one of my favorite British fighters, so I'm going with Nick Ball on this one. And to be fair, Savage, he had to do a come from behind thing last time out, and I think before.
I was about to say, where are we going? What do you mean? No, did he?
Oh, come
on, Dani. You should know better by now.
Come on, not
Oh my god, I wasn't even thinking. But
yeah, don't. Yeah.
Sorry, blame the honeymoon. I'll just come back. Like.
Whoa. Extra pause.
You know what I mean? But yeah. I just feel that he had to I don't know how to word this. He had to turn the fight.
He was behind in the fight.
Just
like that.
Yeah, he was behind in the fight, and he had to pull it out the bag, basically.
Yeah. Okay. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
it's too late for this.
Yeah. My mind's just gonna go to places I don't want to go.
I know it's fun to watch it, but come on. So yeah, he had to basically come from behind in the fight and get the victory. And another fight before, I remember he was struggling as well in another fight. So I think that someone like Ball, with his work rate, obviously Savage is not as tall as what's the guy's name last time out?
Vargas.
Yeah.
Vargas. So it's not going to be as tricky trying to close the range on him.
They're similar.
I'm going with Nick Ball, man. I'm going with Nick Ball.
But Nick Ball won't be throwing him down on the floor like he's throwing Ray Garcia.
That was wild.
Yeah, he won't be doing that. Like my guy's a lot younger, a lot stronger. Like Vargas just looked frail.
His legs.
Yeah, look frail.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ford on that. I'm gonna go with the Savage.
But Beats, Nick Ball is like he's a strong youth, because I remember he was flinging around when he flung around Tyson Fury's cousin and just punched him up.
Isaac Lowe.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, he flung him around.
In saying that, Dani, if you watch the Isaac Dubois fight, Dubois had a couple of questionable knockdowns that he didn't get, or at least one. And he was catching balls square with power shots. But like you said, listen, he's a live wire. He's explosive. I think Ford is a better fighter than Isaac Dubois. From what I saw in the Kolbatov fight, he can box reverse and forward, and that's going to give Ball issues. You know what I mean? Especially if Ford starts pushing him back or attempting to push him back and is successful, then it's going to be a lot of issues for him.
Technically, Ray Vargas there should have been a knockdown called on Ball in that fight as well, but the ref didn't call it. So yeah, I mean, look, he can go. One of them good fights. It'll be a great fight.
We've got to speak about Daniel Dubois versus Filip Hrgovic, the new and improved Daniel Dubois. I do like what his attitude. He's got that confidence. He's got that little bit of swagger. Even when he might have took a bit long to answer one of the questions, he was ready to go for it, but they obviously cut him off because they were speaking over him. What are we thinking about that? I'm going to go to you first, Base. We'll go back in reverse. So Base, Dani, boxing beats.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting fight. Big up. I won't use Beats line because I know he'll probably say it later. But he made a great point on one of his videos, which is something that I've said for several. Well, I've been saying it for the last couple of years, and he made a point of something that Don Charles should do. So I'll let him say that. But in terms of the fight, the one thing that I think works in Hrgovic's favor instead of Dubois in this is the fact that he's the taller of the two. I think he's actually got the slightly longer reach, but he works off of that jab. He's got a very good jab. It's very pinpoint. He's honed it since the amateurs. Daniel doesn't move his head. And the jab itself is very fast. It's accurate. And if it makes Daniel either uncomfortable or makes him decide to rush or panic into an attack to basically get out of the way of it, that could end up leading him into a dangerous right hand. Possibly if he's overshot his attack and ends up in a vulnerable position. I'll kind of just leave it there. But if Daniel can stay composed, stay measured, try to be a bit more fluid than he usually is, if he starts investing in the body from early, I think he's got a good shot at this one. But there's a lot of danger in there for Daniel. There's a lot of danger, and it's not just from the attacks like head on. But yeah, that's where I'll kind of leave it.
Rabbit punches. Sorry, Dani. Yeah, I'd
You're
like
on
to
mute.
hear Dani. I know, like we had a pause, but yeah.
Come on, you're watching too much Dame Dash. But Hrgovic, yeah, he's definitely on that rabbit punch stuff. So the ref definitely has to get onto that from early. I was surprised that Daniel went into the sparring story where Hrgovic was like, yeah, I didn't even bring that up. I saw an interview after, he was like, I didn't even bring that up. He brought it up. He was meant to spar 4 times. After 3 times, they said, we don't want to do no more. He didn't. He said he didn't drop him, but he just gave him like a proper like beating. Yeah, so I was surprised Daniel even brought that up, but maybe he was really young, so he's just trying to say he's come a long way since then. And yeah, that's the only. I was picking Dubois, and then when he came out with that, I was thinking, he is someone who is very. It's mental based with him, ain't it? It's more mind over matter a lot of the time with him. So I hope he doesn't come in there with a frail mind. He needs to be strong minded, but he's got the right team around him because Don Charles is a good motivator, and he does seem to be doing a lot better under Don Charles. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good fight. I'm gonna.
You're saying Hrgovic, aren't you?
I want Daniel to win, but because of that press conference, it's just like slightly swayed me to Hrgovic on this one, unfortunately. But hopefully something closer to the time, Daniel shows me something, says something, like when he starts doing the whole the daddy and where we sort of lambs out here. He's got to start coming out with some bars, and then I'll get straight back on. You know what I mean? So yeah.
What was you saying, Beats? What's Base alluding to that you were saying about Don Charles?
Well, this is a team effort, man. Like, Don Charles has got to play his part. Next press conference, he's got to go in. You're a cheat. You rabbit punch. You're a repeated rabbit punch offender. And I want the referee to know this. I want the media to know this. So the pressure is on Hrgovic from the jump. That when you get in there, you're conscious that your rabbit punching will be noted. All right, and that would take a lot of. Listen, when this guy fought Mark Demore, he was rabbit punching Mark Demore. If you need to rabbit punch Mark Demore to win, there's something wrong.
You did the same thing with Dempsey McKean,
right? Right. And yo, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just gonna pick. I'm not normally very confident on picks. I'm picking Daniel. I'm picking Daniel. Daniel punches correctly. Yeah. If they can like if Daniel's dad and Don can keep him mentally strong from now into that ring, he can beat that guy. He can beat that guy. Right. That guy has not impressed me as a pro. I haven't seen no outstanding performances yet from Filip Hrgovic. He might have beat up Wilder in sparring. He might have beat up Daniel. Daniel was 17.
He's a baby.
He was a kid. Oh yeah. It's Dubois then. It's Dubois. I'm going Dubois.
Yeah. I want to see Daniel beat the crap out of this guy because I've been underwhelmed. Like Dempsey McKean was in that fight until the 10th. And don't get me wrong. Filip is a good stay. He outlasted Zhang and he outlasted McKean, and he did well to do so. But them fights were touch and go. They were touch and go. Daniel's a young dude. Daniel's come from the experiences of quitting twice. So that shows that he's got determination to keep going and keep trying despite falling. And that's very important for a young fighter who's had setbacks, that you just keep going and you keep staying driven. And he's in a good space right now. He's in a good space to beat this guy. Very good space.
You know what? Yeah. I can't even argue with that. I wanted to try and get Don Charles on today, actually, to like just join in and talk to us, but I didn't manage to reach out to him. But I can't be rude because there's a few things coming up in the chat. So sorry, guys, I'm behind on the chat. Great show. Forgive me, October Red. I don't know. It depends who you are and what you've done. But good evening to you, and thank you very much for the £1.99 donation. Wilder's bomb squad was a little unconvincing after that mask reveal. I think his eyes were irritating him again as well, to be fair. He started rubbing his eyes. I thought, oh my God, it's Maskgate. We're going to get that thing with his red eyes again.
His eyes were swollen up as well. Did you notice it? The cheeks of his eyes were all swollen up and black.
Yeah, his eyes did look swollen. God knows what's going on there. Ra Holcomb, good to see you, Ra. Yarde's team may have painted themselves into a corner, turned down the Saudi bag, pricing himself out of the Buatsi fight. What other big fights are there? And that is literally a conversation in itself. That motivation isn't going to change fate. This is Wilder's last fight. I've had a few people jump on the conversation that I've had with Malik Scott as well. So, let me just jump through some of these. Zhang, Shiraz, Ford, Richards, Hrgovic, 6-4 to Queensbury, and that's coming in from Pound for Pound Jack. Guys, please feel free to debate with yourselves in the chat. Put who you think's going to win and why. If he says Fury, said Wilder hits hard, he lands clean on Fury. He didn't land anything on Parker. Parker showed the IQ in there. Every time Wilder tried to land that backhand, Parker was dipping out the way. And then coming back with his own overhand shots. Let's have a look. Louis Ortiz felt his power in the second fight. Let's have a look. That's a couple of people debating with themselves. Let me push through. No, Aiken. I'm never going to forgive you. Everybody, this is the guy that stole my Deontay Wilder interview. No, I can give you back the $1.99 as well. Listen, come on, we're all friends here. Boxing Beats and Rhymes has just thrown a £10 in there. Thank you very much for that. Can split it.
Salute Beats.
Should give you £2.50 back. Hit the likes, hit the subscribe, go to all of our channels and hit the subscribe button. BaseDaKID, Dani Fight Fan TV, Boxing Beats and Rhymes. We might as well speak about Anthony Yarde. I saw that Joshua Buatsi put up his little, I don't know, what was it, a story or something. It ends up on Sky Sports, and you've got Buatsi like talking to the phone in the sun, and then they did like, he was talking, and then they put up a video with Buatsi dancing. So I was like, who edited that? Like it was the voiceover of Buatsi, you could see at the beginning, and then they showed like pictures of Yarde dancing. So that happened. Yeah, so it's like, after this, bit of internet, I'm ready, where are you? Then Buatsi, then what is it? Yarde pulls over in his car. I had to pull over to, you know, to say this, and talks about being a free agent and, you know, going through some whatever contractual bits and pieces. It's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And then Frank Warren was like, you're still in contract, mate. We've sorted it. We've agreed the terms. We're just waiting on you. Now, me being the rookie and probably the youngest out of you lot, as youngest in boxing out of you lot, what is going on with this, and what are your thoughts on it? I'm going to start with Beats on that. What do you think of that? Because I listen, I felt a little bit sorry for Frank, because it's like you grow your kids up, innit? These fighters, listen, all right, I know they're making money. I know you're in it for money. I get that. Everyone wants to get paid. No one's doing it for free. But when you'd help them and you help build them and you give them opportunities, and then they turn around and kind of like say, oh, I'm just going to dip off over there, I guess it's going to piss you off. But Beats, what do you think about it?
Well, like, all right, he won the Haringey box. He had a few amateur fights. No one knew about this guy, right? Frank gave him the proper, like, Dean Powell, Ernie Fossey matchmaking. A lot of losing fighters who he knocked over, right? That's a privilege to get that for your first 10-8 opponents, right? So he got that. 2 world title opportunities, neither of which he won, right? And, like, it's not just Yarde. What is happening with these British fighters? Like, Eubank was saying he was out of contract.
Yeah.
Yarde saying he's out of contract. Buatsi saying he's out of contract. 2 of them are in court and dispute. Don't they know, like, it should be easy to know if your time has expired or if the multiple fight deal has expired. So I don't understand that at all. And look, they don't say, oh, Frank Warren, anything. But you haven't took the Saudi money, and now the Buatsi fight looks like it's in doubt. They're not doing good business, and somebody is talking to a lot of these fighters in the UK and across the pond, and they're telling them a whole load of nonsense. Frank Warren has been doing this shit since the Grosvenor of the house when he put on Jerry the Bull Martin and Otis, right? 2 Americans. He's been doing it a long time. And before that, he had his own federation. He knows what he's doing, right? From his first champions, Keith Wallace, the Commonwealth champion, Terry Marsh, the IBF champion, from his first British title fight, Clinton McKenzie versus Steve Early. He knows what he's doing. No one could deny that. Frank Warren single-handedly got rid of the cartel and has built up a lot of boxers to make money in this country. And if you're...
Hold on 1 minute. Let me put on my glasses, Carl. Me in school. Yeah, carry on.
If you know more than Frank, well, go out there and show me, Tunde. Go out and show me that you know more than Frank. If Frank the deal is, yeah, with Buatsi, 50-50, pay-per-view on TNT and Sky, it's a great deal. How is that not a great deal? How do you think you're the A side of someone who's ranked #1 in at least 3 of the sanctioning bodies? What, because you had a good fight against Beterbiev? 50-50 is fair. It's more than fair. Al Caillou, Yarde was part of the Saudi conversation. In the comment section. He was part of it. That's why they took the video down.
Dani?
Yeah, Al Caillou, yeah, he got first dibs. Remember, if you're choosing your weight if you're doing the weight categories, you're gonna want to put your best foot forward. So Yarde got first dibs of the fight. He got first offer, first refusal. He turned it down. You know, he was saying about friendships and stuff like that. But then Tunde said that sometimes friends have to fight, you know, a month later. So he was then up for putting Yarde in, but by then that ship had sailed and they already had their pick. They originally, rumor has it that it was meant to be Zach Parker, but you know, he got dropped in his fight, so it wasn't really a good showing. And Willie Hutchinson then looked very, you know, good and devastating taking out the German guy, so he got put in. There was a guy, there was a guy who got offered the fight also, very, very name brand person. I won't mention their name, but they turned down the fight. They turned down the fight.
Guess is in the chat, because I don't know who the hell you're on about, but guess is in the chat, please. Guess is in the chat.
Yeah, they turned down the fight. Very name brand person. Willie Hutchinson, he's the man in. But then apparently they're trying to make this deal for Yarde Buatsi to go on the Richard Riakporhe, Chris Billen-Smith card on June 15th in Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace Stadium, because Richard Riakporhe and Buatsi are both, affiliated to the Crystal Palace Football Club. And obviously Billen-Smith's going to bring the Bournemouth boys up. But yeah, I'm not sure why Yarde's, what's happening with Yarde's deal with that. It should be 50-50. I know, we heard recently when he was offered, people was mentioning the Craig fight, that, he said, well, he's got to get 1 million, I've got to get 2 because I'm the bigger name. So maybe he's thinking he's the bigger name. Sorry, 3 million. I've got to get maybe he feels he's the bigger name against Buatsi, why he doesn't want to give 50-50, even though Buatsi's ahead of him in all 4 governing bodies, number 1 in 3, unbeaten, got better wins on his resume. I like Yarde, good fighter, very talented. Yeah, he put up a spirited effort. He done well, but I wouldn't say he gave Beterbiev his hardest fight. And you got to put things into context when people say he gave him a great fight. He only lasted 8 rounds. He didn't get into the championship rounds with him. At the end of the day, I just got to keep it a buck tonight. He didn't get into the championship rounds. He got through 8 rounds, and he got stopped, and he got knocked out in his other world title attempt. He's a former Commonwealth champion. He's not won the British. He's not won the European. So he does have to check his market value, because I know some of these fighters might want to bank on themselves and start trying to make deals and leave promoters. But you normally do that when you're, a world champion, 3-time world, like when you're a Canelo, 3-time world champion, multi-weight world champion. Then you start to take a gamble on yourself and go independent. But you can't do that until you have established yourself as a pay-per-view star, a proper pay-per-view household worldwide name, or at least a UK, serious UK commodity, like even a level like a Josh Warrington at least, because he doesn't actually have a set fan base. In my opinion, well, who's his actual fan base? He's not part of the Arsenal firm like that. They don't get behind him. So that he doesn't really have a fan base like that. So really, when you go to his fights, he's not like, that's why he's fought at some undercards and he's not really selling, So when he fought Lyndon Arthur in London, in Hackney, where he's from, Lyndon Arthur brought down the Manchester Mandem, and there was more of the Moss side and wherever he's from up there. There was more of them in the house than the East London Brigade. So yeah, he has to be very careful going forward, because now he could end up being left out in the cold. And this would have been a great time for him, really. He should have really gone for the 5 versus 5, because you're on the chief support, basically, card-wise, to the undisputed light heavyweight championship fight between Artur Beterbiev and Bivol. And when you're then on the global stage worldwide, everyone's going to go, well, the winner of that one, oh, well, we got to see that guy fight the winner of that one, because that was sick. Yeah, I want to see him next, because it's on the same show. Everyone's got recent memory. So you want to be very vivid in people's minds. You're not going to do that if you're fighting 2 months before it, or 2 months after it, or 6 months either side. You want to be right there, center, putting your bid in. You're right there. So even fighting on a boxer card on Sky Sports, globally, no one's going to be clamoring and calling for it. You really should have been on the 5 versus 5. But hey, everyone's got to make their own decisions in life. I'm in the Craig Richards business. Craig Richards, when he gets called up, he comes to fight. It don't matter, friend, foe, either air or between, as BaseDaKID says. He's down for swinging on whoever. You know what I mean? Some people complain about Willie Hutchinson. I know Beat said bar Richards Hutchinson aside is a great card, but hey, Craig was the first man called up on Matchroom, and he took it. There was multiple people in the Queensbury that didn't take the fight. Craig's just got to deal with who's in front of him.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I agree with that. 100%. Like,
So
Craig, that's why I like Craig. He's one of my favorite British fighters. He doesn't duck fights. Doesn't
Never.
do that much. He just gets in there and fights.
yeah.
I want to know what Base thinks.
Sorry, go Base.
No, to be honest, Dani said a lot, and there's information which both myself and Dani know, which isn't necessarily our place to speak. But yes, categorically, it was correct. It is true that before anything, Anthony Yarde was the pick for the 175 in Saudi, and it was declined. And part of that, I think, is now why there's been so much fractious relationships between them and Queensbury, because it's almost like saying, okay, well, this is the only other thing that is now on the table, and these are the terms. And unfortunately, as much as you may think you're the A side, or you may have the bigger profile, I don't know, because put it this way, all I know is the person who fought latest was Boatsi from memory, and Boatsi fought on Sky Sports, which is just overall a bigger platform than TNT Sports. It just is, and he was the main event, and you was on the undercard. So as much as you may feel that your profile's bigger, unfortunately, that's not the perception to anyone outside of maybe the hardcore space. Plus, obviously, yes, you get cachet in the bank for, going 8 rounds with Beterbiev and 9 rounds, or was it 11? Was it 10 rounds with Kovalev? 11 rounds with Kovalev, sorry. Yeah, you get some cachet with that, but there's just not enough outside of that for you to be the A side. So this whole free agency potential thing, yeah, that's gonna backfire, and it's gonna backfire for 2 reasons. Number one, you're not big enough where I feel like people want to pay you mad money to get in the ring with their fighters. I feel like they'll pay you well, but they, based on what it seems like you guys are wanting stadium fights, and I don't know if you've got that kind of cachet in the bank, especially on that exact same deleted The Fight Is Right podcast where they was doing social media numbers, and he was out jabbed on the social medias by Ben Whittaker by like 10-1 in terms of followers and media attractions and whatnot. So yeah, unfortunately, he's not as big as I think they think he is. And then if you do the free agency thing, you're also in problems because you're not getting no more Stefani Koikovs. you're not getting them, man, that just came off the shift at the police station, come over to England to come fight you. There's no more of them. There's no more Markiches and Murkovs and all these other guys with names with bare consonants and no vowels in them. There's all of that's gone. So when we look here, you say, well, all right, if you go to the free agency, that means that every time you go somewhere, it's going to be hard fight after hard fight, which is not your game plan and never has been. So look, good luck to him. All I know is the way Frank Warren's talking, he's saying categorically there's a contract and it's still in play. So as much as I don't really want to swear on these kind of things, but this seems like Frank Warren is going to say fuck around and find out. So find out if you want.
Yeah,
find out if you want. That's how I see it. So I'm gonna sit back, I'm gonna sip tea, and we're going to just see how this whole thing plays out. I just hope it works out in everyone's favor and everyone gets what they want out of it in the end. And if you want me to be totally honest, I don't even think they really want the Buatsi fight. If you want me to be totally, there's always the energy never seems right from that side when they talk about the Buatsi fight. It's always, well, what has he done? Why, like, you know, why is he the golden child? It feels very much like the Joshua and Fury situation. Like one of them might use the other one's name in passing, or the team might, but there never seems to be much going on to make it happen. Josh came onto their platform and stuck it on them like, well, look, I know this is his time. I didn't even want to be up here like this, but I want that fight. Then you got next one. I thought, well, okay, yeah. I mean, look, it's a fight I've wanted, but like the money's got to be right for both of us. Like, why are you telling us about that? Just say, yeah, I want the fight. We'll sort it out. That's all we needed to hear. So the energy just don't match what people claim. And as much as I like Anthony Yarde as a person, I think he's cool. I've met him a couple of times. I think he's got something there, but I just don't think he's what they say he is. And I think they just don't really want him to get exposed by someone that's not an elite level fighter or world champion, so they can keep the gravy train running. You want me to be real? That's my take.
But then, like you were saying, how are you going to do that if, obviously, if you become a free agent, because that's one possibility here. How are you gonna do that? Because then you know, basically you could be going in to some hard, tough fights. You might even be put in as a B-side fighter against a signed fighter who is their next up and coming star. It's a tricky position to be in. I get it. Maybe I'm just trying to sit down and think how I would feel as a fighter if somebody was telling me basically you're just not really worth that. You know what you're putting in the gym, all the rest of it. But then someone's there saying, well, actually, you don't bring that market value. You don't create those numbers for us. So we don't think, you know, that you're worth that. Then it's the ego that gets tapped up then. And then that's when everyone starts obviously ranting and raving and going on with the how dare you talk. But the only ones that are suffering here are the fighters, because you got Joshua Buatsi walking around in the sun saying, what's going on? You know, I came to Sky Sports because I wanted activity. We'll allow the app talk because that's dead. But I came onto Sky Sports because I wanted that activity. And now he's just sitting there, not active. And then a fight that he thinks he's possibly going to have, that might not even happen either. So what's Josh going to do? It's a horrible situation to be in for both fighters. But like Frank Warren, I think a shout out to Umar from Box Nation. He's been getting the conversations in with Frank. Frank, you know, has said he just feels like disappointed, and I know he is not afraid to take people to court. He is that guy. He will stick it on you, just like when he stood up at the press conference at the 5v5 and says the only enemy we've got is Ben Shalom. You don't care.
Well, here's the thing, right?
He's going to tell you.
The new version of Frank is trying to avoid the lawsuits because it's not good to try and attract boxers to sign to Queensbury. So he hasn't done the lawsuit thing for a long time. He's trying, and he said he doesn't want to take Anthony to court. But at the same time, he's playing nice now. But this is Frank Warren is no joke. And free agency in the UK is not easy to do, because if you go and try and make a fight with Buatsi, with Ben Shalom is going to be looking, well, hold on, I'm already enemies with Eddie. And I'm going to cross Frank Warren now and start making deals with you when you're still in contract. That fight's not going to be easy to make. Trust me. You don't want to cross too much bridges like that, right? And somebody needs to sit Tunde down and explain to him that some of your thoughts that you're verbalizing are not in tune with reality. He was talking about fighting Kovalev in Highbury. In Highbury, yeah, we're going to sell out, not Highbury, Emirates, because he's an Arsenal fan, and Emirates. I said, really? Like, what it is, right? Some of these people see Joshua, they see Fury, and they see the Saudi money, and they think to themselves, well, we're on the same parity as them, and you're not. You're clearly not. I remember Anthony Yarde fighting in the Brentwood Centre when Johnny Garton, the welterweight, was on there, right? And Garton, Millwall, brought down a bag full of man, 3,000 seater arena or whatever, bag full of people. Y'all didn't have no people in there. Y'all don't have a fan base like that.
Yeah. John Garton's my friend. Me and him used to box together at the Lynn, the Mexican.
Yeah. Millwall, yeah? Yeah,
Yeah,
you've been
Millwall.
yeah. I remember watching him beat up Nathan Wise at the York Court.
Yeah,
I mean,
Nathan Wees. Yeah. That's another one of my friends. Yeah, mad. Yeah.
Well, listen, we wish them all the best. We hope that they sort it out. Me being selfish, I'd just like to see Joshua Buatsi keep active. He was on this trajectory and it just seems to have, it's grinding to a little bit of a halt. We're here in June the 15th, but we're not really hearing anything like solid. So hopefully, as this closes, we'll probably get something in the next coming week to say that those fights are happening. I've got to say,
Can I just say this quickly, right? This is at the time when you turned down the Beterbiev, the Bivol fight last year. I was at it. You can't turn down world title opportunity unless you don't believe you can win, right? You cannot just turn them down because you never know what the politics or the bullcrap injuries are going to happen next. You got to take your title shot when it's there. You have to, especially when you're approaching 30. You've got to take your title shot. And now it's going to be how long before he gets a title shot? Beterbiev and Bivol are fighting. They might have a rematch clause going on. I mean, like, if Craig Richards looks really good, he's gonna he's gonna be in the limelight. He's on the big stage. Where are you?
I remember that Craig's already fought before.
If you stayed at Matchroom, remember he beat Craig Richards. So who would be in thing now in Riyadh? He would be there.
We'll see if any of their fighters end up over there.
And Craig's already, as you said, October. Craig's already fought Bivol, and it was a
good fight.
It was a good fight.
It's definitely a good fight. Forgive my manners. Let's shout out to the beautiful Karma Serene, our American sister. She's so cute, guys. Give Karma Serene a subscribe. Go and check her channels out. Another one that is, I'd say that we're quite opinionated, and I like her style because she's ladylike with it, and I really do enjoy listening to Karma Serene's YouTube boxing views. Thank you very much for the donation of $19.99. I did try and get her on, but she's busy. She's working. She's helping those in the community. Let's have a look. The matchmaking of Yarde has definitely been weird and inconsistent, but I don't know if that's down to Warren or Tunde. Good evening, Ron A. Hope you're good. EJ Boxing Live, shout out to you. Good to see you. And he's saying that Base is giving out the facts. G Chainer says, I hate you lot. It's one of them, G. And at the end of the day, it's opinions. It's opinions, and people should be allowed to have them without getting ostracized and whatever. Because if it's okay for others to have an opinion, it should be okay for everyone else to have one as well. So it's one of them.
But what I will say is, I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, Tunde," but when it comes to the opponents, if you look at the way Tunde and Yarde interact, Yarde, a lot of times you'll see him like he talks very like with his chest when he talks to Tunde. So I think he has a lot of influence on his opponents and decisions himself also. So a lot of people want to blame Tunde for all this, but I think Yarde he has a say in stuff like this, like, and there's reasons why some of this stuff, like for instance the Bivol thing, stylistically wise, that is the nightmare for Yarde, a boxer. Two, he says he likes to fight for world titles. When he goes into a proper fight, it's normally for a title on the line, whether it's a Commonwealth or a world title. But Bivol stylistically I feel was wrong. Two, Bivol was young, whereas he thought Kovalev was old. Kovalev got knocked out in 2 out of his last 3 losses, which was 3 out of his last 5 fights, and he ended up getting slumped in his next fight. He fought everything because it was the motto was everything is timing. I remember from Yarde a lot around that time. Then with Beterbiev, thought he was getting old as well. Looked slow, getting old. So he thought he tried to get him with 2 older champions, whereas Bivol is a young man. He ain't getting old anytime soon, age-wise. I mean, then also even with this, 5v5, Buatsi. I've heard people say it's funny how there's all these isms and schisms to get into a live fight when there's no belt on the line.
contractual issues, and I mean, we could literally go into it, but you know, like I said, I wish them all the best. We'll see what happens in the future. The 5x5 card is set nice in Saudi. We're going to see some good fights. Hopefully, they'll run a part 2. Wembley, potentially. We might even have a female fight on that leg of the card, which will be good to see as well. The Saudi investing in some of the females in the sport. We'll see what happens with that. But I've got to ask, and obviously, you know, it's fight weekend for Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster. And I don't know. I thought maybe there was mental health issues with Ryan Garcia. I know a couple of people were mentioning other stuff. He's one that you can't figure out, but I bet he's a nightmare if you're fighting him, because he'd get into anyone's head. So half of me now thinks that this guy's been trolling all along. I don't know. Beats.
The only person whose head he's getting into is his own. And he's going to get humiliated, man. He's going to get humiliated. You know what I mean? Like, he's not acting like a fighter from, I mean, what I know as a fighter from the time I've been watching boxing. I think Derek James is probably embarrassed by the whole thing. And Oscar De La Hoya. And if he is humiliated, where does he go from here? I don't even know if he cares, really, to be honest. You know? Because everything just seems to be a joke or some kind of, let me try and make a cool comment or something, or you know, try and say something, you know, offensive. Or it's just weird. It's just weird. Like today, I heard him talking about the ticket sales. Oh, they overpriced the tickets for the Barclays Center. And the reason they're not selling is because Devin is boring. And thinking, hold on. You're 4 or 5 days away from this big fight and you're worried about ticket sales? Is this what you're worried about? You're worried about the wrong thing. Your priorities are all messed up, mate. You know what I mean? Needs to focus in. Because Devin is coming in there to, you know, raise his profile in a big profile fight and move on to the next. Hopefully fight someone like Matthias or some of the other good welterweights, light welters they got there. Or maybe even move up and fight Boots. That's not inconceivable. Yeah.
Boots. What are you guys thinking about that, Base?
Well, not a huge amount at the minute because I won't be paying for it since they want to put it £20 for, you know, 4 o'clock. And I've literally, I'm just reading I've just got an email from the Zone saying that the annual subscription is going up by £15 as well. So yeah, luckily, actually, no, you know what? That's okay because my one was due to run out at the end of April or the start of April. If I was to renew before, then I still get it at the old price. But yeah, on the fight, I mean, you guys know I ain't gonna give no predictions today. Gotta wait till Friday for that. But it's all a bit of a shit show. I was one of the first people that commented, and I don't even live in America. Why are they doing it at the Barclays when both of them are West Coast people? It's not the same as the UK, and even over here, it's like you're very hard pressed to get like 2 people from Newcastle to sell out an event in London. As much as their people might want to travel, etc., or 2 Brummies to come down here, or whatever. Like you go where the market is for those people. So it should have been in San Fran again or LA. I know they couldn't do Vegas, but they should have done it somewhere in the West, or even maybe Texas in the South might have been an easier play than to get everyone to ship all the way over on like I think it's like a 4-hour flight or 5-hour flight from the West to the East Coast. So yeah. None of that to me made much sense. So I'm not surprised that the tickets ain't selling that well. And if they probably were overpriced, but they're gonna paper the event. They're gonna just throw out a bunch of free tickets on Saturday to make it look better.
Apparently as well.
They'll do that, and then as soon as that doesn't work, they'll just give out bare tickets on the door just to make it look good. They'll tarp off the regular areas. But in terms of the fight, I mean, if you want to be real, the entire fight card's actually shit. It's from front to back. It's non-competitive all the way through, and a lot of people feel like the main event's going to be non-competitive. Now, it may be better than that. It's probably a sleeper in terms of it might be a lot better than people think it is. But when you know, you can't expect it to do well when there's not one part of it or the entire promotion that has been put out to say that this is a, you know, a 50-50 or a great fight. It looks like a mismatch from what Devin's done to what Ryan's done as a pro, just on those optics. And then the entire undercard looks exactly the same. There's not really much reason for people to care about it. But I'm happy that Devin's getting his money, and if he can get a nice build off of his profile off of this, then whatever happens, good luck to him, and congrats. It's my thoughts.
Dani?
Yeah, it is strange why they put it over in New York, especially when the reason why a lot of the fights got taken out of the New York circuit, especially big fights, because of there's this tax thing. Elusive 2.0 spoke about this, so it even costs more to even stage fights over there than it is to do it on the West Coast. So that's probably why they've got to jack up the price. The ticket price is so high because they've the venue fee and stuff like that. The taxes they've got to pay out there is so high. But you know, today I saw this. You know, Devin pushed Ryan in the face. It just looked all a bit like, come on, I'm not on fight week. You don't need to be doing all this. But Ryan, yeah, he's doing a lot of, you know, show and tell. Doing that. That was funny what he did with the, you know, the breaking out into this random song during mid interview when he was all in all white. Yeah, that was funny. And it's funny and it's strange, you know. Ryan Garcia is actually a global star. I was out in Malaysia and I was talking to people, and the only like current fighter, a lot of them know, obviously, they're gonna all know Manny Pacquiao, Floyd is their last people to remember. I was like, yeah, but what about now? Do you know who Canelo Alvarez is? They didn't know who he was. Do you know who Anthony Joshua is? They said, oh, a couple of them said they heard of him, but others said they didn't know. I said, so who do you know then? Like, oh, Ryan Garcia. They all know Ryan Garcia. So this guy is like proper globally known. Like, so he's a big name. So even if he loses, if he does a few YouTube, TikTok videos or YouTubes or whatever it is, he'll be able to get fights still. But as a serious contender, it will take a major dip and drop in his stock, unfortunately. So he does need a good showing. Yes, most of us believe he's going to lose, but as long as he doesn't get knocked out, because getting knocked out by Devin now is not a good look. Do you know what I mean? Devin's not a puncher like that. Yeah, Tank, all right, yeah, Tank hits you. We all know it can do damage, but yeah, as long as he puts up a good showing and he'll be all right. But if he gets stopped and gets punched up like vicious, then yeah, it's not going to be good for him market wise.
Yeah, it's one of them. I kind of like got put off the fight after I seen all the antics because it kind of like took the light away from boxing. But we were talking about market value earlier. Ryan Garcia has got that. He's got that following. He's got the people that know who he is. So this is where it's like, you know, you might not have a belt, but you've got that star potential. So we're going to invest in you because you've got how many millions of followers, or you get 300,000 likes on your Instagram post. So it's all business. We'll see what happens with it. And I'll just see what happens with it. I definitely won't be paying for it. Absolutely no way. I'm not paying £20 to get up at 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever it is. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. There was one more thing that I wanted to talk about before we get off, and now it's just slipped my memory. Oh, what was it?
Maybe the fight gone this weekend?
Nah, it wasn't. Well, you know what? Go run with that. But there was something else that I want to speak about, and I didn't even write it down.
Okay.
It's gone out of my head.
Well, shout outs to Base and Tony for the breakdown they did today. But yeah, when it came to Jordan Gill versus Zelfa Barrett, very good fight at the main event. I personally had Jordan Gill up by 2 rounds, and it was weird because after the fight, the commentators was like, "It's strange how Zelfa he was like he was giving Did someone say something? Oh,
Yeah, but Jack was. That's it. That's what I wanted to talk about. Exactly that. Thanks,
okay.
Jack. I'm leaving that on the screen, but yeah, run with it.
Yeah, let me
Thank
just
you.
bust this through. Yeah, so it's like there was like it's like he was giving rounds away, and I was writing in the comments. Well, on Twitter, I was writing like comments in between like rounds and stuff, and I was like, it's like Zelfa was getting trained by John Kreese, because it was like he was being told win a point, lose a point, win a point, lose a point. He was like he was winning a round, and then he was like started running around the ring and letting
Back-footing.
Jordan Gill beat him around. Then he'll start firing again, and it's like, what's he doing? Then he lost 2 on the spin, so he ended up 2 behind, because I think it was the 3rd round I gave as a draw round. But by the time it got to that round where he actually, I said it's not looking promising, because he was like 2 rounds down. I said not looking promising. Next minute he's come out blasting, bam, 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 body shot. I was like, rah, I spoke too soon. So yeah, it's well done to him. He needed that. As Base said, I don't think he'll be good. He can beat a current champion, but it will be good for him to have a good domestic clash against someone like Joe Cordina. I think that will do well.
Yeah, Kakachi Cordina. Looking forward to that fight as well. To be fair, you know what, Base? Do you want to shout out to Ellie Scottney, because I know like you're like from the ends. That's your girl, etc., etc. Her
Yeah,
fight.
big shout out to Ellie Scottney, unified champion, Ring Magazine, Ring recognized #1 in the super bantamweight division at the minute. Don't know if she's awake to see this, but hopefully she can get a replay of it. Shout out. Maybe one day she will bless me with an interview of some sorts. I keep saying it. We literally live 5 minutes walk from each other, but she won't come on camera. And I think I'm not sure if she is. She might be a bit upset with me by one of the nicknames that I've christened her. So I've promised to never call her that again. But I don't know. She may be playing about, but just in case she does take offense to it, yeah. Apologies, but big ups to you. And I know you're going to be undisputed sooner or later. So congrats. And the whole of the Blue Borough is behind you, and we all support.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Beats, is there anything you want to say about that card? Because I just wanted to touch on Serrano and Taylor.
Yeah,
Serrano too.
I was kind of impressed with her body punching, because a lot of the women neglect the body, but she didn't. And she took the starch out of the French girl, unified nicely. Zelfa, I didn't know what was going on at the start, but the ends justified the means. It was a great finish, you know what I mean? The body punching and jabbing on the move. Looked like an American fighter, so, you know what I mean? Looked impressive, looked pretty impressive. I give credit for that.
You know, I want to give credit to as well Shane McGuigan. I'm going to end on that card with Shane McGuigan. I think when I did the watch along live, that's why it already feels like I've done a review, because I was doing a live watch along. People were saying about, Ben Davison's, the trainer of the year and this, that. And I said, stop doing that to trainers, because when their fighters go in fights and lose, it makes the trainer look bad and it discredits them for all the work that they have done. We've seen it when with Reynoso, with Canelo, he's had it. Then obviously Derek James got it. I get it, they were like official, but we keep doing this. Just give the trainers their flowers, but sometimes you got to really calm down on the pedestal, because look at what happened that night. But I want to say a credit to Shane McGuigan. I do like what they're doing with their fighters. I like the way they are in the gym, and I like the way he is with his fighters. So I just want to give him some flowers. I don't want to talk about the best trainer in the UK. I'm not going to do that, because I just think he puts a bit of an unlucky omen on them. But I'd just like to give Shane McGuigan some flowers for his credible work that he's doing with his fighters. Ellie Scottney now being one of them. He's really building the champions in his gym. But we've got this fight got announced today, and I thought I was seeing things on Twitter with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. Obviously, it's on Netflix, and it's on the Jake Paul undercard. Now, it just seemed like it popped out of nowhere. I think I saw an interview with Eddie Hearn with Kugan Cassius, credit to IFL and Kugan Cassius, where he said, look, it was the best deal for Katie. We don't want to get in the way of her money, basically, but we're not having anything to do with it. I haven't got any idea what's happening with any of it. You know, she's going over there. She's going to fight on that. You know, we're Team Katie, but we're taking a step back. So, Beats, I'm going to ask you, go back, Beats, Base, and finish on Dani. What are your thoughts on that? I love the fight, but it was just so random that I was expecting this fight's going to happen in Ireland, etc. And it's spun it on its head.
Well, I think just quickly touch on what Dani said. I think it's the insurance to insure fighters in New York was really expensive right now. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
But I don't know. It looks like Eddie, because he struggled to get the fight in where was the place in Ireland?
Croke Park.
Croke Park. Looked like he struggled a bit with that, and kind of looked like he caved in a little easy to MVP, and perhaps with all what he's got dealing here, 5+5 and this, that, and that, he just said, okay, let them take this and put it on Netflix. But yeah, listen, apart from that, that's a really good fight, man. I think the winner of that, in my opinion, will be the top women's fighter. Because Clarissa's been a little inactive. She's been a little inactive.
She's sending out bars, though.
Last time I saw her, she was throwing people about the place and knees and all that. Where else was going on? That's what I saw.
So didn't you think that it was a bit out of the blue, though, to like the fight just being announced on Most Valuable Promotions? To me, that came out of nowhere. I don't know. Is anybody else like aware that it was going to happen, or?
I was.
Yeah, was you? Go on then, talk to us, Base, because that got me by the short and curlies, mate.
No, I'd heard about the fight for about 3 weeks now, because Eddie was talking about it in other interviews. He was saying ultimately that one thing that Katie wants is to fight in Vegas, and there's potential opportunities there. And the fact that obviously they've got the Sphere over there, which is where they're having the event with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. And he was, people was asking also, is there, do you have any cards that are going to be sort of out in that way? And he goes, listen up for news soon. So from there and from other things that I had heard and spoken about, I knew that the fight was taking place, and Amanda wasn't going to obviously run back the Nina Menke fight. So I think Nina's going to end up with one of the other Matchroom, not as maybe a consolation. And also outside of that, what's in it? Sky Nicholson was talking about her potentially talking to Katie, so she wants to find out what she's doing with the rest of her belts. So I guess if you listen to the right channels, like everyone was making the noise about it. So I was just waiting for the confirmation. I was just thinking, are they actually going to do it at full 140? Because obviously Amanda was complaining about 135 before, saying, I'm not a real lightweight and blah, 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 even though she's held belts at 140 before in her career. And the whole 12 threes and the WBC and stuff. But now she's capitulated on that. She said, well, I wanted 12 threes, but Katie's a champ and she wanted to do 10-2. So I'll do it on this occasion. That was the only thing that I wasn't sure how the fight would get made, was the 12 threes situation that she's put a very staunch standpoint on. But yeah, but clearly, like money changes people's principles. But what I will say to that is, all right, I know it's Katie and it's the rematch and all that, but now if you unless this is your last fight in boxing, you can't come back out and tell no one you must fight me 12 threes, because you've already capitulated on that stance. Okay. So unless this is your swan song, win, lose or draw, like she's actually fucked herself in negotiations with anyone else. So that will be interesting. I know she's
Nicholson.
Yeah. Sky, Alicia Baumgartner's obviously spoken about wanting her to come up and face her. Several other people, she can go to 135. But from what I do know, or what I heard, because the Nina Menke fight was supposed to be her last fight, and then she was supposed to go PFL. So maybe the PFL things get pushed back. And maybe this is the swan song, hence why she's prepared to do the 10-2s with Katie and no one else, because it makes the money. But yeah, look, it's a good fight. I don't think her being at 140 benefits her more than the first fight. I think Katie's probably figured out better ways to manage the rounds now, especially at with 2-minute rounds. I don't think Amanda's power carries high up the ranking. So if she couldn't get her out before, closer to her weight, a natural one, I don't know if she's gonna be able to do it at 140. So it could play out very similar to the first fight.
Yeah.
It could be different, but I feel like obviously when you've been in there with someone already, Katie knows how to make more adjustments than Amanda does. So it doesn't bode well in terms of the rematch in that sense. But I am interested in it, and I do think that it might be another fight of the year contender, because they're both still going to go at it. Katie is not going to box smart. She just won't. That she ain't got it in her. Not when it comes to that macho or that that machismo, that just big woman energy that she's got. She's not letting anyone step to her. And it's going to be her first fight in Vegas. She's going to leave every ounce of herself in the ring, and Amanda will do what Amanda does. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm not giving her any predictions yet. I just feel like it's going to be a great fight, and I'm here for it. If it's even half as good as the first one, then it's worth it. And the fact it's there as like it's garnishing on a different event. Like this might be the people's main event, but it's literally not even the main event of the card. Like that just tells you what kind of level I think Netflix are going to do for that. I think there's going to be some other very big fights underneath.
I'm loving the Netflix move, but yeah, we can touch on that another day. Dani, your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously it's hard to follow BaseDaKID when it comes to women's boxing, but yeah, it was
not women, just the boxing. Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, he knows about it. Yeah. Oh yeah, we need to get another installment of Femme Files soon, by the way, Base. But yeah,
It's coming.
Thank you. So was it a surprise? I don't know.
Me. I must be in the dark, man.
It was a surprise that I saw. Okay, it's on that card.
Yeah.
But,
yes.
Yeah, that it was on that card. That was the surprise. I was like, oh wow. But yeah, it's a good thing at the end of the day. It makes sense because obviously Jake Paul has been, promoting Amanda Serrano fights for the longest. So he's obviously getting her the good, the best deals and stuff like that. Good money.
Mm-hmm.
Probably is a swan song, I feel, because she is getting up there, in boxing wise. So she probably does want to move over to the MMA thing, kind of like how, what's her name, Holly Holmes did, after she was done with boxing. I feel Katie Taylor will win because, even if Amanda Serrano manages to hurt her, Katie knows how to somehow always fight through pain and fight hurt. She looks like so distressed at times when she's getting hit, but somehow she's always able to still get through it. Whereas when she did start tagging Amanda looked a bit out of sorts and ideas on how to sort of stop those pinging shots. And I just feel that, Katie Taylor will probably end up taking it on points again. But it'll be a good advertisement. It'll be a good fight, a good advertisement for, boxing, especially with Netflix doing it as their first one. And if Base is correct that they're looking to probably put on more big fights on the undercard, because they definitely got a budget. So their budget's going to be high. So, yeah, I'm all for that. It'd be interesting, though. Do you get to watch it after on Netflix as long as you got your Netflix subscription? I don't know how they tend to run it, but that would be really good. It'd be like coming like blockbusters or something.
Remember, they're doing the same thing with the WWE, so they'll be showing Raw live from 2025 January. So yeah, it's literally it'll just be on the platform, so you can go back and rewatch it.
Oh wow!
To me, that's strategy, that's business. That Netflix is like the number one. It's the first app, isn't it? So the fact that they've like literally waited around and watched everybody and thought, okay, we'll show you why it is to broadcast boxing on an app, because we're the dons for it. So I'm happy to see that Netflix is also now in the market for boxing. I think it's brilliant, and I love the innovation of technology and how it makes things easily accessible for us, the viewers that pay our subscriptions, that want to watch it, that might want to pause it and come back to it and watch it later. I think it's brilliant. But listen, let me just make sure that there's nothing in the chat that I've missed. I think somebody's mentioned about Alicia Baumgardner and Clarissa Shields fighting soon. I can't see that. I'm struggling to even visualize that happening. The weight differences is just too much. I'm sure Base will break that down. Why? Because he's like the expert on women's boxing. But apart from that, guys, have you got anything that you want to end off with before I close the live stream?
Yeah, just funny enough, talking about the Netflix thing, and as you said, very innovative. It's funny that this has come to fruition, like, you know, the Amazon deal, the Netflix thing, because I don't know if you remember, was it about 18 months ago, Adrian Broner made a little joke during the Instagram live. Remember when he was like, we're gonna end up boxing on Twitter. I don't know if any of you remember that, when someone was asking about the PBC thing. I remember. You remember that, Beats? Yeah, and it's just funny how it's all coming to. It probably will end up that way, because Twitter will probably want to get in on it soon, because now Amazon and Netflix are in. It's just like what started off as like a little banterous joke is now, you know, becoming a reality, but in a good way, really.
Yeah, yeah, Netflix are probably going to muscle in on the influence of celebrity boxing rather than championship boxing and grassroots and all that. Though I think that I don't think they're going to be trying to compete with Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren's space or the PBCs. I don't see that.
No.
I will say that I think some of the small hall shows, or smaller hall, the non-televised things, we've got TalkSport now back in GBM Sports. So they're actually, you know, streaming that all the time. I think Sky Sports as well. I think it's, you know, not Sky Sports Boxing. As we know, Sky Sports got several channels. It'd be nice to see some of the smaller hall promoters start to get those fights on Sky Sports, so we can start seeing stuff televised. I wasn't best pleased about the Wasserman show last week, because they were announcing winners. They were saying that, you know, all of the undercard you couldn't watch. It wasn't on YouTube, and it wasn't on, obviously, DAZN, and obviously the Channel 5 broadcast came on later with the main show. I think there's so many channels out there that we can start to let these, you know, either like the small hall or like the, you know, the Wasserman events, we need to see that pumped out into the era, so all of us can, all of the boxing fans can start watching them on televised. We're living in an era where small hall shows shouldn't be just like tickets, it should be aired. We're living in this computer generation. So I think the Netflix getting involved, I think that's perfect. I think EJ Boxing Live said Red was the one who came up with the Netflix idea. I spoke to EJ Boxing Live years ago and mentioned about Netflix doing boxing. It's something that we discussed in length. So thank you for bringing that up. Nobody would have believed me if I said it on my own, but I've got EJ to back it up. So yeah. But listen, guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you to Boxing Beats and Rhymes, Dani Glover from Fight Fan TV, BaseDaKID, Hardcore Casual, that also moonlights for the Undefeated podcast. You know what to do. Subscribe to all the channels. You've been beautiful guests. Thank you for all the super chats. And I think we're coming back on Sunday, I think, to talk about obviously the Haney Garcia fight. So listen, as we say at October Red, stay ready. Anything from you guys before we dip?
No, just thank you for your time, man. Let's all get a good night's sleep. Let's consume some good food, good energy for the week, and keep it moving.
Persistence beats resistance.